Smasho here, and welcome to the Daily Space Weather. It's the Sunday edition. Now that I got some hilarity out of my system, we can do the actual Daily Space Weather video. So let's get to it. So this is the last 24 in 304 angstroms. We've got some major CMEs having happened in the past 24 hours, so we'll be giving you some analysis of those. Also, what's going on with sunspots, what's going on with volcanoes, meteorology, and more. So let's do it. Here's the last. This is yesterday plus today in colorized magnetogram. And then, of course, we've got your solar intensity gram. Sunspots here pretty much stable over the past 24, maybe a little bit of growth happening there. Definitely some umbral migration happening up here in the northwest. Flaring has been minor. And by the way, today's featured product, if you haven't seen it before, it is the, let's give you a demo here from our Instagram page. Red mask, yeah, says you should wear too. We're uninterested in all of the fraud you spew. It's our Fauci Face of Evil bath mat. If you haven't seen that yet, you can see that demo on our Instagram page. You can find links below the video to our Redbubble products. I'm wearing the Fauci Face of Evil t-shirt also today because the face of evil always seems to reveal itself to you. And if you decide to follow it, well, that's on you. So that's the featured product there, the Fauci Face of Evil, Tony Fauci Face of Evil Fraudster bath mat. Put your feet on the face of evil daily. Save 25% store-wide, by the way, as the sale continues at the Redbubble shop. And of course, you can get it on all sorts of other products as well. Let me show off mine. Tony Fauci, Fraudster, Face of Evil. So there are all the products that you can get the Fauci Face of Evil on. It makes a great gift. Maybe send an ironic gift to your favorite Fauci fan. You can get it on greeting cards. Travel mugs. How about a shower curtain? But to me, I think the best idea is the Fauci Face of Evil bath mat because, hey, who doesn't want to put their feet all over the face of evil on the daily regs? Continuing on to volcanoes. Now that I've inflamed somebody who's watching the video who thinks Fauci is some sort of a saint or has their best interests at heart, let's take a look at magma releases. Like Shivaluch, which is exploding and producing a 17,000-foot ash plume. Sakurajima, 7,000-foot ash plume. Manam, 6,000-foot ash plume as it explodes on the Isle of Papua New Guinea. Popocatépetl exploding in central New Mexico. That is on my bucket list, folks. Let me know if you've got Popocatépetl on your bucket list. I got to go there. It's got to be a thing. I mean, I think we can safely do it. You just dress down and you pay off the local warlord, right? Fuego in Guatemala exploding, flight level 160. Nevado del Ruiz exploding, flight level 200 over Colombia. It's a 20,000-foot ash plume. 21,000-foot ash plume over Ecuador from Sangay. 15,000-foot ash plume over Ecuador from Ravenador. And please don't pole vault the Sabancaya caldera. It's exploding and producing a 22,000-foot plume of volcanic ash, flight level 220. And let's move to earthquakes. Here the earthquake rundown, and it's been pretty calm here over the past 24, although one quake really far north, up in the Arctic Circle there, that 4.1 in the Beaufort Sea, came in at 11:19 and 19:11. That's yesterday at 19:11. So let's scroll up the list here. It looks like the largest of the past 24 was a 5.3 at the South Sandwich Islands. Kamchatka had a 5.1. Indonesia had a 5.0. South Sandwich Islands region had a 5.1. The Caribbean had a small quake swarm. Taiwan had a 5.1. I think there's one larger quake there. Let us know if we missed anything in the comments section. There's a 5.0 at Papua New Guinea. And let's move on. So headed back to space here. I hope you're not spooked and scared of space. Space is not scary at all. It is awesome. And by the way, I don't know if you were aware, but super ionized materials are not only the future of astrophysics and cosmology and heliophysics, they are also the future of human technology. If you weren't aware, we're happy to inform you of these facts, and let's get back to space. So there are some super ionized materials for sure, and that's 2 wavelengths from SDO. That's the past 24 hours, 171 angstroms and 335 angstroms, 2 different portions of the ultraviolet spectrum there, ionized iron. And again, we do have some CMEs to cover, so let's move it. We are coming at you really late today. The 10.7 centimeter radio flux is still at 115 solar flux units, so a big dip in the radio flux in the past few days as those massive sunspots set in the northwest. Sunspots like 3141. There's the 1-year chart of that to put it in context. The black line is the radio flux. Flatlined here for several months. And here is the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard, forecasting some geomagnetic storm conditions tonight. So we may see some aurora there. We're hoping for a big hit. And if you're frightened of space weather, I don't know what to tell you. Maybe you should tune out of the channel and and take astrophysics. I don't know. Tamitha Skov tends to agree that the sun isn't going to kill you. So here's the last 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from space out to about 12 Earth diameters. That's our Geospace Magnetosphere movie. And we are awaiting a coronal hole high-speed stream impact. We may already see that happening, and if so, it's looking pretty weak so far. But before we take a look at that, let's take a look at Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. So here you go. Geospace delta B. It means changes to Earth's B field. The scale here is nanotesla, the units. Nanotesla. It's showing you between 0 and 400 nanotesla. Geospace delta B. That's our ground magnetic perturbations map. Things quite calm here, geomagnetically speaking. Next, the KP index is barely at 1. 0.67 is the planetary K index, a measurement of global geomagnetism. And let's take a look at the real-time solar wind. So we are seeing an increase happening here in the solar wind density. Current conditions are about 13.5. Make it about 16 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed about 335 kilometers per second. And let's take a look at some magnetic data. So here are the GOES magnetometers. That's the last 3 days as measured by the GOES 16 and 17. Pretty smooth there. Expect that to be a lot less smooth in the coming days as a coronal hole high-speed stream strikes. And let's take a look at the heliospheric current sheet. So there is a shift to the North Pole current sheet that has just occurred. Earth has just moved into the North Pole current sheet in the past couple of hours. As you can see here in green, we have an even split here. So solar activity here kind of weak. We've got a single North Pole current sheet and a single South Pole current sheet. As this solar cycle has barely gotten underway, we still see a portion of the North Solar Polar Field hanging out of the North Solar Polar region. Let's take a look at the line of sight field plot. So here is the sun's B field shown in blue. A B field is the field that goes through the magnet, by the way, this magnet being the sun. And of course, you've got the North Solar Polar Field in green, South Solar Polar Field in red, and let's move to coronal holes. What evil lurks in the depths of coronal holes? None, but streams of protons do. Yes, mostly hydrogen nuclei. Like 90% hydrogen nuclei. Also some helium nuclei will come flying out of there. Also electrons. And some other heavy elements will be present in the solar wind. But in any case, that's our line of sight coronal hole plot. The coronal hole high-speed stream we're getting now, the beginnings of at least, are this South Pole-oriented coronal hole. We've got some North Pole ones rotating in here, and let's take a look at it visually from the SDO 211 angstroms wavelength. So there you go. These are North Pole-oriented coronal holes here rotating in. This one is a South Pole-oriented coronal hole, so you do have this polarity boundary here. South Pole down here, North Pole up here. And let's move to sunspots. Fauci wears a red mask, yeah, says you should wear too. And let's bring up our flare monitor and our flare scoreboard. must have forgotten to initialize that during show prep. I apologize for that. You'll just have to bear with me. So there you go. Likelihood of solar flares not really all that high, although these are all beta gamma class sunspot groups, I think. We'll show you a further analysis of that toward the end of the video before our meteorology segment. So let's take a look at some sunspots here. Here is the SDO magnetogram for the past 24 hours. Pretty stable there. Not a lot of changes to the magnetic field structure. Let's take a look at the SDO continuum. Again, pretty stable there. Here's a zoom in to give you a little more detail. And let's talk energetic particles. No spikes in the proton flux here, so no major flares here in a long time. There was an M-class flare a few days ago, but besides that, things are pretty chill. And let's talk about SureMed. Are you interested in improving your health? Do you have gaps in your coverage? Do you need discounts on things like vision and dental because your vision and dental isn't covering it? Well, consider a SureMed membership. A membership with SureMed is not insurance. It's a membership with the American Better Health Organization, an organization focused on improving your health. So it's only $20 a month, folks. So check it out. You can also calculate other benefits there, like if you want a critical illness policy. Critical illness policies are pretty popular. They pay cash directly to the insured. Protect yourself against critical illness, perhaps, and add that to your SureMed-based membership. There's a little information about the critical illness insurance. SureMed itself is not insurance, but there are group insurances that could be purchased. You can find links below the video to my SureMed link, as well as to the smashomash.com homepage. And welcome to the Neo Renaissance as we plausibly explain the mechanisms underlying the solar cycle, the solar sunspot cycle, solar polar field reversal cycle. Because remember, folks, if your model does not have the inputs that cause the cycle to exist, your model is not going to accurately forecast anything. Remember, in science, folks, if your observations do not match your hypothesis is probably wrong and should probably be abandoned. Smashomash.com. Again, welcome to the Neo Renaissance, where we cite facts. And let's get back to space weather. Again, links below the video and on the homepage at smashomash.com. Goes X-ray flux here, pretty chill over the past 24 hours. There was an M-class flare there. That one came in at 1,300. Right about 1,300 hours yesterday. And let's take a look in multiple wavelengths. So this is 1,700 angstroms plus 131. Let's drop the 1,700 and just view 131 angstroms. And how about a little bit of 94 angstroms? Can anybody tell me where the M-class flare came from? I think it came from this sunspot. In any case, let's move on. Let that play through one more time. And take a look at a star chart. We're always interested in what's going on above our head. If you want to create your own star chart, check out in-the-sky.org. This is the all-sky chart. You can check it out using the charts feature up here at the top. Right there, click that, all-sky charts, put in your zip code. The blue line is the galactic plane. The yellow line is the ecliptic, as Cygnus has recently risen the past hour or two over the northern horizon, the northeastern horizon. Yes, Cygnus, yes. We've got the sun, Mercury, Venus. The moon is high in the sky right now. We've got a crescent moon and Mars as we approach new moon. Here's a solar system forecast as Mercury and Venus turn the corner and return to prograde motion. Here's where things will be in a week. We'll have a crescent waxing moon. And let's take a look at some coronagraphs as we've got some spectacular CMEs to cover, as we only bring you the most comprehensive space weather and detailed imagery of the closest star you'll find any place in the known universe. That's yesterday's coronagraph imagery from George Mason University. Here's today's. And if you're wondering if those are earthly directed, we'll give you an answer here next. Here's the view from Stereo A, located at Lagrange 5, and the Soho Lasco C3, located at Lagrange 1. Stereo A on the left, Soho Lasco C3 on the right. And so if you look, now, first of all, for your new viewers out there, Earth would be off in this direction. So that's important to know, because from the perspective of the Soho Lasco C3, Earth would be behind you. If you're looking at the coronagraph from that spacecraft, we've paused it here at 1809 for the Stereo A and 1806 for the Soho Lasco C3. And if you watch how this propagates, it looks like it might be earthly directed. Oh, no, the sun is going to kill me. Oh, my God. Except it's off to the west, so we don't see any likely earthly directed component of that. Let's bring that back and let it play through, and then we'll show you some 24-hour videos of SDO plus Soho Lasco composite. Spectacular fireworks happening there. They are not likely to cause auroras at Cuba. Pretty major CMEs there. Again, not likely earthly directed. Continuing on to our 24-hour videos here. Here is the Soho Lasco C2 and C3. That's the last 24 hours. And here is the full zoom. As you can see, Venus and Mercury slowly turning the corner over there on your screen left. And let's take a look at filaments, as we've got dozens of them in the Earth-facing portion of the solar disk. Coronal mass ejection likelihood remains at nearly 100%. Expect more CMEs. We'll be streaming them at twitch.tv/smashomash. Here's the last 24 in the house favorite wavelength, 171 angstroms. You can see at least one of those CMEs propagating from down here. Right there, some material went a-flying. And let's take a look at the last about 2.5 hours from the GOES 16 SUVI to see if anything new has been occurring here. And things are looking pretty stable here at the moment. Again, don't be surprised to see some of these filaments eject. There are a lot of filaments. That's the Cerro Tololo, Chile ground-based solar observatory in hydrogen alpha. The last 24 and 171 angstroms from SDO, the Solar Dynamics Observatory. And the last about 2.5 hours from the wide field of view on the GOES 16 SUVI, 304 angstroms wavelength. And here come the bonus features. We don't have any satellite charging hazards. It's smooth sailing for satellites here at the moment. There's the GOES electron flux chill for the past 3 days. We can expect this to be quite low if we do see a high-impact coronal hole high-speed stream. And you can see a dip in the electron flux here, not forecasted by NOAA, but then tomorrow's forecast is looking like it'll be accurate. This might get a little bit lower. I would expect this to be a little bit lower than the green box tomorrow. We'll take a look at it tomorrow. You can see if my forecast was correct. Next, looking at the 1-year chart there, that's the last year of the greater than 2 mega electron volt electron fluence. And let's take a look at the F ionosphere there, as we've seen ongoing anomalies in the bridge between Earth and space. That's at about 300 kilometers of altitude, the F flare of the ionosphere. We have been seeing some significant anomalies here in this portion. We're looking at vibrational frequency here. The units are megahertz, millions of vibrations per second. And for you new viewers, it might be more obvious when we show the anomalygram, so let's take a look at that next. Here's the anomalygram. That's anomaly in megahertz from a 30-day median. So significant low-frequency anomalies there around the equator, especially on the northern hemisphere portion. Once again, it's anomaly from the 30-day median. There's the latest image. Whoops. There's the latest image, 1400 universal time ionogram and 1400 universal time anomalygram. Low-frequency anomaly occurring right now, actually. Next, we'll look at the total electron content forecast. It's the free electrons between your GPS satellite and your handset. These are the free electrons between about 12,500 miles of altitude and the ground. It'll show you the most likely places for GPS errors. Let's zoom out one mode there so you can see the slider bar. We're having some quite low electron contents there around the equator and some high electron contents around North America. So expect some big GPS errors. We may have to demonstrate this later today by turning off our Wi-Fi accuracy on our location services. Next, looking at the total electron content map. There's a still map from Australian Government Bureau of Meteorology for 1352 Universal Time on today, November 20th, 2022. Here is the latest intensity gram and latest colorized magnetogram. We show the refresh so you know you're seeing the latest. Well, that's a beta gamma class sunspot group all day. Is it beta gamma delta class? Close. I think it might be. It's got a pretty complex set of fields, so don't be surprised to see a big flare from that. This group down here, it's beta class, barely. Beta! Beta class sunspot. And this group up here, we'll look at this one also. That's beta gamma class. Could be mildly considered delta class. And do we have a new sunspot rising? Doesn't look like it. There is an active region over there. If you didn't notice that, there is one rising right there. A little tiny plage. So yeah, things are pretty stable here over the past 24. And let's bring up one more series of images. This is yesterday plus today from the SDO. And that is a great composite there. It shows a lot of different features. It shows the extended corona. That's the 211 angstroms, what you see in green. The 304 angstroms is great at showing filaments. That's ionized helium. That's the red portion. And then the 171 angstroms is great at showing the lower corona and magnetic loops. That's ionized iron. And let's move to meteorology. So we're going to shift gears here, and we're going to take a look at meteorology as we're wont to do most days. Meteorology, forecasting the weather is too easy, so I figured I would share with our clientele. So here at the Smash News Network, Least Busted Name of News, we like facts. And here are some facts. The Gulf Stream continues to warm Europe. Okay, there it is. All right? If you think we're going to have a snowball Earth and next year is going to be a year without a summer, well, the Gulf Stream has to shut down. And it's not shutting down, is it? Is it? It's still making its way to Iceland and Ireland, isn't it? Which means, whether you believe in a grand solar minimum or not, the Gulf Stream is still cooling Europe. They did not have a year without a summer. Here are the currents of the rest of the world, by the way. If you didn't know the way currents flow, indeed, that is the way they do. Not a lot of currents in the North Polar region. Why? Because ice. I have to whisper the word ice. Because reasons. You got to whisper certain words, folks. All right, so let's do our standard jet stream and surface winds. There are the jet streams of the eastern world, like sands through the hourglass of time. Here are the surface winds of your lives. Surface winds of the western world looking like this. Jet streams of the western world are looking like this. Concentrated jet stream right over our head right now. We've got high winds, as you may forecast if you understand the way this stuff works. Next, the jet streams of the central world. Feels like winter in Pennsylvania, and here are the surface winds. Continuing on, to remind you to follow us on Twitter, as free speech has not been restored by any stretch of the imagination. What a joke. Elon Musk has no idea what he's doing on social media platforms. We've got 337 followers. We've been losing followers since Elon took over, despite having 17.6 thousand tweets. The new thing is our content, what is it called? Our reach limitation parameters are better than your reach limitation parameters. We're going to deboost people who are negative or who post hate speech, because our definition of hate speech is better than your definition of hate speech, right? Get on Twitter if you're not. And if you're not on the Smash team, well, get on the Smash team. What the heck are you waiting for? We just launched it back in October of 2021. Smashomash.com/Smash team. We replaced Patreon with a superior site. So we wanted our content on our own site because, not because of censorship or anything like that, just because Patreon doesn't have the capabilities that our own site has. So shout out to Smash staff. Give her a raise by becoming a gold or silver Smash team member. Help us out that way as we make just this side of nothing to put the content on YouTube. You can also find links to our Hemp Lucid shop. Check out all the products that are there, by the way. A ton of products. You got reishi mushroom stuff. You got CBD stuff. Delta 8 gummies. Delta 8 sublinguals. All kinds of stuff. CBDs for your pets. The Delta 8 products are potent. Make sure you beware if you decide to get some. Please enjoy responsibly. Links below the video, as well as on the homepage at smashomash.com to our Hemp Lucid shop. They also make great gifts. Get your shopping done early and save some cash with our link. Next, press like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Tell your friends and foes about the channel, as our subscriber count just stagnates at 2.6 thousand subscribers because reasons, as if space weather isn't popular. It certainly is popular. We also have videos about cosmology, driving, riding, and pro tips. Do one thing, because the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Check our playlists for even product reviews, and there are even some recipes on there. Look for more coming in those sections to later videos. And let's get back to meteorology here. This is clouds and fog over the western world. And by the way, if you haven't come to the realization that the Earth is croissant-shaped, you need to stop believing NASA's lies. Stop believing NASA's lies, okay? NASA was founded by literal Nazis, and they're lying to you. They're lying to you, I swear to God. The planet is croissant-shaped. Face the facts. So we've got all kinds of gale warnings all around the Gulf Coast and the North Atlantic coast. Yowzers! High surf advisories and all kinds of windy conditions, including here in Pennsylvania. If your county's lit, click your county at weather.gov. Weather.gov. And let's take a look at the snowfall. So this is the next 72 hours of positive snow depth change. Some heavy snow's coming to Washington, also parts of New York, as it piles on in those areas to the east of Lake Ontario. Yowzers! Concentrated areas there with heavy snows. Also Texas expecting to get some snow. How you like them apples? Next, our temperature anomaly forecast based on the GFS model also. That's 72-hour temperature anomaly in degrees Celsius at the GFS model. We show 72-hour forecasts because they're accurate, unlike even 4-day forecasts. There's a reason why we show 72 hours, because we're confident that they'll be generally correct. And if you've been watching the channel for a while, what have you noticed about the forecasts on the channel? Let us know in the comments. Here's a 72-hour pressure and precipitation forecast, as there are some lows hanging out around the Gulf and the Floridian coastline. Check it out. Some heavy storms there around that area, just stagnating as the jet stream stays to the north of those areas and refuses to move the weather patterns out. Let's move on. So here's our European snow depth forecast. Let's move this ahead 3 days. Here's where things are expected to be Wednesday based on the European model. Let's see how much they're expected to get here. At least 15.5 inches in some areas of New York. Next, looking at the NASA GOES lightning mapper. Some heavy lightning there in the southern Gulf. Let's take a look at a real-time lightning map here to see if there are any terrestrial strikes, and indeed there are not. Next time you hear thunder, check out lightningmaps.org. It could save your you-know-what. Let's move on to some more weather maps and close this mother out. So this is the U.S. Doppler radar. Some participation in precipitation happening there in southern Alaska as some heavy rains are hanging out. We'll focus on the lower 48. There is the lower 48 U.S. Doppler radar map. Here is the clouds and fog, since about half of the country is still kind of dark. Is it? I guess it is. And here is the water vapor map. That should help to clear things up if your Doppler is looking unclear. Here's the recap. Doppler radar, ground-based systems showing vertical motion of water droplets in the air column. 3.9 nanometer radiation satellite showing clouds and fog. And water vapor satellite showing all of the water vapor, not just that which is condensed onto clouds. It'll show you the dry sections of the atmosphere and the moist sections of the atmosphere. Thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network, Least Busted Name of News. I've been your host, Dan, a.k.a. Smash Match, signing off. And may that solar wind be at your back. Opinions expressed in this video may not necessarily be the opinions of Smash News Network, Least Busted Name.